and welcome to Craft with Sarah and day 2 of the Christmas Craft Countdown, where I'm sharing 20 festive-themed Cricut projects in 20 days. Half of the projects are designed by me and half are guest designer projects from some of my crafting friends. Today's project is by Rhoda from Lemony Fizz, and it's this beautifully detailed winter scrapbook page. Rhoda has always loved to create things from paper, and colours make her world go round. With a minor in art education and a passion for sharing creative ideas with others, Rhoda designs SVG files for cards, scrapbook layouts, paper boxes, and mini albums to share with other paper lovers. I love all the different elements of this scrapbook page and how they all come together to form one cohesive layout. You can add stickers, toppers, or other embellishments from your crafting stash to add even more details to the design. Let's get started! The files for this project are free for the next 24 hours. Here's how to download them. First, register a free ticket for the Christmas Craft Countdown at craftwithsarah.com/Christmas23. Click any of the buttons on the page and enter your name and email to register. If you're already registered, check for an email from me with subject line Christmas Craft Countdown ticket information, or any of the other emails from me that you have been sent throughout the countdown. Can't find them? Check your junk or spam box to see if they've gone there by mistake. These emails contain the link to view the countdown projects and download today's files. Scroll down the page to find today's project. Click the button to start the files automatically downloading to your computer or mobile device. Each download is only available for free for 24 hours after it goes live. If you've missed some, check out the Instant Access Bundle at craftwithsarah.com/Christmas23 bundle, which gives immediate and ongoing access to all of the files from the Christmas Craft Countdown, plus loads of extra bonus designs. All downloads come in zip folders. You need to unzip them before you can upload the files into Cricut Design Space.
Hey, and welcome to a scrapbook layover or cut file for the holidays. This one's going to be kind of holiday neutral, and you can spice it up as much as you want or tone it down as much as you want. So the first thing we're going to do is start a new project, and we are going to bring in our file. I'm going to click on upload, and then I'm going to click on upload image, and I'm just going to grab my file and drag and drop. I'm grabbing the one that is an SVG, and then I'm going to upload. And I'm going to add this project to my canvas. So I'm just going to click it so that it's got this green bounding box, and then add to canvas. And once it's on the canvas, there really isn't anything that you need to do as far as score lines or anything with this one to prep it. It's mostly just making sure you got your colors set the way that you want them, and that they're going to, you're going to remember which one is which for your pattern papers. And then I'm just going to double check my color sync and make sure all my blues and my greens and my grays are all the way that I want them. There should be 2 types of green, 3 types with this kind of yellowy green, which I think is this one showing up right here. And then 2 types of blue. There's this one here is the very far back, and then the very front of these houses, just so that you can give it more of a 3D effect, and they'll show up on this white snow in the front. And then these ones here, as well as this front row here, need to be white. And there's 2 different greens there, so I think I've got these 2 greens, 3 greens, or these ones, and then yeah, the yellowy greens here. So there's a few greens. If you want to combine those and make less, you can. I'm also going to drag these down and make them pure white. And I don't know that anything in here is pure white, so I just want whatever is my whitest white, which I think is this one. I just want to make sure these are all together and that this one here is with it. So I'm going to ungroup these just for a second so that I can highlight and see what this looks like. Okay, so it's this one here with the house cut out, and I'm going to make sure that it is part of my very front white ones also. So it's this one right here. So it looks like that's a lighter white. I'm going to bring these down just so I don't get confused and accidentally grab a gray. These are going to be my white. Okay, so you should have a white or an offish white, and then kind of gradually go up the color spectrum from there in either light blues or light blue grays, just so that there's that offset and the depth of snow is what you're going for. Obviously, if you wanted to turn this into like a fall scene, you could do reds and browns, or if you wanted to do summer even later for something else, you could turn these into the different colors of greens. Like this one's going to be kind of flexible. You can use it for different occasions. Okay, so we're ready to make it. I'm going to go ahead and click make it, and then we will assemble together. All right, we are ready to put this layout together. The one thing that I forgot to mention while we were actually making or putting everything together on Design Space is that you don't have to use your machine to cut these little pieces. If you want to take your time and like pick different pattern papers and kind of feel it out as you go, you can totally cut these parts by hand. And I've got a tutorial in my YouTube that shows you how to either take a cut file that I haven't designed that doesn't have these pieces already filled for you and make your own fill files, or how to do it by hand, or in this case you just cut what's in the file and call it good. Okay, so the hardest part of this one's going to be figuring out which pieces fill which part here. So I'm going to go ahead and set some of these aside and put together the things that I know are super easy right off the bat. I'm going to wait on my background pieces. These are my photo mounts because I did this for my photo mount, but then decided that maybe I wanted a little bit of color popped behind it. So I'm going to make sure I have room for that before I actually use these pieces. So I'm going to set those aside. And then I'm going to do, I'll just work my way front to back. So this is the middle, medium color, this is the back, and then bright white is the front. We can do the trees right off the bat, and I think these larger houses are going to be pretty easy. Let's see. Yep. The one way that you could do it too is just do like one section of this at a time. Right? I just lump sum went through and cut it all out so that I could just do this and have it all done at once. The grand kid is looming soon, so I wanted to get this finished before that happened. So that was my main goal, was just get it cut and get going. And I think I can probably figure most of these out fairly quick. Maybe not. Those are the front houses. With the front ones, you can either back it right here and then pop dot these, or not use these at all. I just did that so that if you wanted that definition of the house in the snow, you could still have this line right here. So you can either use this to trace just the pencil marking and leave this completely white without the blue, or you can put the backing on this and pop dot this so it's got a little bit more dimension, or you can fill in here and pop dot this. Like, you've got options. So kind of play with it, feel it out, see what you like best. As always, take it and make it yours. Let's see. I think you're probably looking at me going, hey, it's right there in front of you, but sometimes my eyes are like wondering what I'm looking at here. Okay, I'm gonna set these aside since I got those first houses ready to go and the trees. And then we'll come back and fill these in a second. I'm going to scooch this up just a little bit so that I'm not gluing on my main workspace. And then to cover or fill in these overlays, you basically just take your piece that you're going to use to fill, and you take the piece that's going to be filled, and we're going to flip them over upside down. Flip this one upside down. Put the glue along the inner edge right here. They don't go all the way to the edge because I didn't want them over, like, peeking out the sides. Looks like there's a fuzz stuck in my glue. Hopefully I'm still on screen. Oh, I didn't glue down there, thank goodness. Not enough workspace. The camera kind of limits that. Okay, so then I'm just going to flip this upside down, lay it where I want it. And if there's a little bit of glue overhang, I'm not too worried about it, just because it's going to get glued down onto this final piece anyway. Nobody's going to see the back of it. Same with when you're doing it as a card. Okay. And if you glue crooked or sideways, again, this back piece can be messy, and nobody's going to see it. It's the front piece that matters. Okay. So I will probably speed some of this up depending on how long it takes me to figure out pieces. you can follow along and pause me and then just come back, or whatever it is that you need to make this process work for you. Again, see how there's a little bit of overlap here? That's okay because I've already filled in that top piece up here, and so it doesn't show through on the front. I'm just gonna make sure I gotta get enough glue that it's not popping up on me. Okay. I love this layout because it's gonna be like a little cross between Christmas and winter, and it's got that like dark evening winter feel because of the colors that I picked, which is kind of why I did that. I wanted that kind of half light stormy sky that happens in the evening, so I went with the blues and then all the different shades of snow, all the different blues and whites with the pops of colors that are so Christmas. I'm not sure why, but I really love pastel Christmases. This is Doodlebug scraps. I have no idea what kind of scraps those are. I literally dug through my scrap piles and used pieces that were like torn and wonky to get the last of this one. So when I say I use scraps, use scraps. You don't have to. I mean, you can cut into a fresh sheet of paper, but the scraps kind of make this project, and this project helps you to use up more scraps if that's what you're aiming for. The other thing I was going to mention, and hopefully I'll remember to say it again, is once we get this layout together, it's perfect for one of those kind of layouts where you could use, say, the lawn fawn stamps or some of those like little tiny mice that are doing winter activities. Those would be really fun if you stamped and cut those out and then put them like interacting on the snow hills and around the houses and stuff. I actually found some Prima stickers that are kind of like an old-fashioned Christmas but in pastel-y colors that I'm going to use for some of my scenery, just to kind of use up some of the scraps that I had and supplies that have just been stashed and not being used. This one didn't cut quite right because the paper was super small and I just barely eked it to the edge, but I can kind of scooch it over and fill in that gap. So if you end up with a piece like that that doesn't cut properly, as long as it's not too deep of a gouge, it should be okay. I totally used the wrong brown for one of these. So I'm gonna show you really quick how to do this. Okay, so we need scissors, and I'm just gonna cut a rectangle roughly the size of that one because I used the wrong one. And then fill it in. And if it's too long, I could trim it. I just did okay. Okay, so there's that and that. Let's finish up these houses. On here, I'm going to probably pop dot mine. So this one, I just need to do this house. So I'm going to flip it upside down. I also need to trim the edge off of this pattern paper. It's a basil paper, and it looks like it says it's blue Calypso. So if you wanted to do something similar, I found another house. I'm just going to use the back of this one as a scrap paper. And depending on the pattern paper you used, if you accidentally flip it over and use the wrong side, most likely it's going to coordinate anyway. I mean, unless it's just like a chunk that really didn't fit there. But if you kind of used all from the same pattern paper family, they should all match up. Okay, so let's get to fill in some houses here. This one's slanty. I'm going to assume, probably shouldn't assume anything. I just want to make sure I use the larger sizes. These ones I think were for back here. I puzzled myself. That one looks like it might go here. If I can think of a way to keep track of this and like number it or name it before you get the file, I will. But I couldn't think of anything that wouldn't be too tiny of a cut that wouldn't make a mess. So I'm kind of just going for it. And again, if you do just one section at a time, it'll be easier to figure out which design goes on which thing. I'm just kind of jumping the gun and going for it. I'm crossing my fingers that they all work out. I think I like these because they're kind of like a puzzle. That one doesn't go there. I think it goes over here. Oh, here we go. I just wasn't rotating it the right way. I think when you do puzzles and you know you're in the right spot, but you just can't figure out why it's not working, and it's just because you need to rotate it one more time. That was that one. I feel like I have more tops and less bottoms. Oh, I wasn't supposed to fill these ones. That's why that's not working there. I'm gonna leave that and recut it. Okay, so this one is actually done other than this. And that goes there. That does not go there. This one goes there. That one goes there. Okay, so yeah, I filled in the front of this one on accident when that big house is supposed to go in front of it. So I'm gonna set that one aside, then finish up with these. I should have a square right here. A square right here. The roof, and then this last roof. And I'm missing this roof, but I'm just gonna cut it by hand out of a color. Okay, so I need to fix two parts here. This one here, I'm just gonna trim down because, or I'm gonna actually trim a new one. And then this one here, I need to trim down a little just because it's, for some reason, it's larger than it's supposed to be. I think I might have used the wrong piece there. So I'm gonna start by gluing this one where I want it and setting it on there. And then once it dries just a little, then I'll pick it up and trim the edges. Okay, and then while that's doing that, I'm just gonna cut another triangle like this size out of that one. And same thing, if I need to, I'll just trim it down. So looks like I don't even need to. I just did a general triangle. And this is, if you don't want to be using your Cricut to cut these out, this is exactly how you would do it without your Cricut. You just use it to cut the main pieces and then you can fill in by hand. Okay, so we've got front, middle, back, trees, houses, and cat that's going crazy. I need to trim this one. He might not be making an appearance today. He's too busy running around the house. Okay, so then you just need to figure out where you want these and if you're gonna do any dimension on them. Because we can't cut 12 by 12 on the Cricut, you're gonna have a little bit of a border here. You could fill that in with something or you can just leave it. I think I'm just gonna leave it and just make sure that I've got my edges lined up here because that border is gonna kind of give it a nice overall look, and I'll just do the same thing here at the bottom. I'm not gonna bring it all the way down. And now that I've said that, I was gonna bring a couple other embellishments to show you what some of your other options are. So let's go ahead and get this glued down and then we'll talk about that. These I'm gonna pop dot. I'm just thinking about this bottom edge. I have a border that I kind of want to feel out. It's from the Doodlebug collection, and it's these little trees that would kind of go with it. So I'm gonna kind of place some of these first and get an idea of where I want the stuff, and I think I kind of want that to go off the edge too. And this one I'm gonna put over here because I want to be spaced away from that green. So I'm gonna probably put it right there. The dark green right here. This house is gonna go in front of that one. This tree I want here. And I kind of like that they go off the edge. I might do the same thing with that one and then scooch this one over and up just a little. And then that there. So that's my overall layout. These are the Prima stickers that I have. I'm going to kind of use some of these for embellishments, maybe like the deer along the bottom, the little girl with the Christmas tree, that kind of thing. Just kind of decorate just a little bit more to make it just a little bit more Christmassy and add a little bit of character to it. And then we've got our photo mounts that are going to go up here like so. And I just want to see if I've got enough room. I was already kind of planning on tucking one behind that tree or this house. And so I think I've got plenty of room. I'm not sure. Yeah. And I think that'll pull it. This pink will pull in nicely with the pink that I'm planning on putting on the bottom. So that's my plan. I'm going to go grab that pink and then we will glue everything down. All right, so the border I want to use is this one here. And I was kind of contemplating that, and then maybe these snowflakes along the top. I kind of feel like that's going to make it too busy though, so I'm actually going to leave this stuff off. When I was talking about using scraps, there's all these borders. I've got all these stickers still left over. Might use some of the words. It's possible for a sentiment here, depending on. And then if I didn't already have these Prima in mind and I wanted to go a little more cutesy, I could use these Doodlebug stickers for some characters and more embellishments on there too. But I'm kind of liking the whole clean, crisp, classy look, and I like that these are kind of the old style classy. So that's what we're going to use. Okay, so I'm going to start with my border down here, I think, just to kind of get a feel. And then these up here, but I'm not going to glue. I'm just trying to think of the best way to do this without messing myself up in the long run. We're gonna have to glue an edge here and then tuck some more glue in here as we go. And then I'm just gonna work my way up and then leave these kind of where they're sitting so that I remember not to glue on those houses and accidentally tuck them or stick those down, because I wanna be able to put photos behind them. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish these up because I do wanna use that pink. Now I'm second guessing. Yeah, I do want to use the pink. I wanted to see it without it too, just to make sure I wasn't being too over busy with the pattern paper, but I don't think it's gonna be terrible. And I want your focal to actually be up there because that's where the photos are gonna go. This is all just secondary, right? If there was journaling or something, that'll draw your eye back down to this bottom piece. Or if we put like some of those stickers or a title or something, or if you've got something that you want to cut out with the Cricut, like words. I have a Joy die cut that might be really pretty on here, depending on what pattern paper I choose that complements the pink one. I could cut that out and put it down here. I'm going to leave title to you just because this can be used in so many other ways. I didn't want to include a title that kind of limited you. So, because while I was making this, I was even thinking you could make a pretty cute Halloween scene with this too. So there are so many options for you. I'm going to go ahead and start gluing this one. And I'm just going to basically do the bottom edges and leave room for tucking things in there. When I get to the point of needing to glue those down, I'll just kind of tuck the glue nozzle underneath there and give a little squeeze. But first I want to make sure I get an even border, top, bottom, and sides. And just as straight as I can, just by eyeballing it. Okay. And then, because trees and stuff are gonna tuck back there too. And set these aside and do the second layer. Actually, let's do our foam dot on these first so that we know where they're gonna go. That's not gonna come down far enough to mess with my foam dot, so I'm basically just gonna stick these inside here, because I know that they'll be secure and not, or hidden and not, they're not gonna be messing with that too much. This one might, so I'm gonna kind of just do it right here in the middle of that. But otherwise, because those houses are already backed, I don't have to worry about that on these. As far as like like these coming down or it not being hidden by my house panels. And then I can always add more underneath there if I need to for support, but I think that'll probably hold it pretty well. house. Okay, so we've still got space behind there for tucking. This has to come down just enough to cover up this space right here. I got a foam dot piece stuck in there. So same thing, I'm just gonna lightly glue. Oh, I got stuck in the glue a little. Come on, let it go. And I am not going to put any glue behind the houses or at the top part of the hill just because I want to be able to tuck my tree and whatever else I decide that I need for embellishments. If you've got some kind of embellishment that includes like tree boughs or poinsettias. I know there's, hold on, I'll show you. There's, with this Prima set, there's a really pretty bough. I think I was stuck on a glue dot back there. There's a really pretty bough embellishment. Okay. So your tops are going to be a little floppy right now, but that's okay because we're going to go through and tuck some glue again in a minute. I'm just basically gluing the bottom edges because I need that so that I can line up the border without it and making sure everything's tucking in and covering up spaces, right? So same idea with this one. And I'm going to leave this house and this house in the corner, not glued down. This one I'm not worried about because these two are going to overlap photos. That one is not. And because we're at the top of the snow hill, you can go all the way to the edges on this one now. Okay. And then just lift that one and slip under. And once you have it past any of the gaps, like I'm watching this little snow gap right here, once I have it past there, that's good enough. Like I don't need to go down any lower, and then I might have to slide over just a tiny bit to get this edge over here under. Okay, brilliant. So now I'm gonna go ahead and go around the edges anywhere that it might be curling up on me that I know I'm not gonna tuck something. The only thing I'm tucking on this side is this tree, and I think I might actually pop dot that one above ground so I can go ahead and glue this house down. And put some foam dots on there. I think I finally ran out of big ones. I like these Paperia ones, I think is what it's called, from Hobby Lobby. They've got a really good thickness to them, but they don't, they kind of come in a weird container, and then I ended up putting them in a baggie just to kind of keep them contained, and then they were sticking to all the edges of the baggie, and it kind of turns into a mess. I need to figure out a better storage system for those, because now I just have sheets of them, and you can see they like fall off and then they're stuck on there again, and that's just, they're kind of a pain that way. But as far as like the actual quality of them, I like them so far. I used some black ones on one of my Halloween things recently, and they've already started like letting go of the embellishments, and that does not make me happy. This one needs one back here. Okay, and now we're ready for these trees, and I want this one here. I originally was going to make one of those fall off the edge, and then I didn't, so I won't make the other one fall off the edge. I'm going to just glue these ones behind these houses, since the houses are already pop dotted. I don't want that dimension of these being the same height as these houses. The idea is to make the houses look like they're more in front, so they need to be a little taller. If I made these the same height, it would screw up the dimension. So these ones I'm just gluing down. If I had double pop dotted these, then I would have been able to pop dot these, but I'm not too worried about that. I want these to mostly be the focal point, and then the stickers that I'm going to put on there, plus obviously your photos should be your main focal. Okay, so then once you have that all figured out, and we're not tucking anything on this row very much, I'm going to go ahead and glue these houses. We just didn't glue them the first time because that back panel had to slip underneath there. Another way to do those panels too, instead of like half gluing and then working your way back, would be to lay them on like we did. Make sure you've got your nice border, and then kind of tack an edge of this one, and then start, once this one's where you want it, then you can work your way down. It's just still kind of hard to kind of hit your end zone here. You'd probably have to do pencil marks on each side and then work your way down. Do what works logically for your brain, because I could do it one way today and then find a different way that worked completely different next time. So it's just however your brain's operating today. Let's stick this one over here first. Once I've got my two edges kind of where I want them, then that's when I put my middle one in, just so that it's in front, and then I know if I can glue all the way to my edges or not. If these were closer together, like if I made these a little bigger and these were closer and they were overlapping, I wouldn't want to put any glue right here, because I would want my photo to be able to tuck in there. But as it is, that size worked out perfect. These are 2.5 by 2.5, and then I did my pattern paper 3 by 3. So if you want similar size for your photos, you could also do one large 4 by 6 here. You're not stuck with just these 3 photo mats. That's just how I did it, so that I could get more Christmas photos on one layout. But if you've only got like one photo and you want it to be your main focal storyteller, do a 4 by 6 right here, or a 5 by 7, kind of tuck it behind houses and then go from there. Okay, so that is the main layout. From here, you just use, oh, here's those holly branch thingies I was telling you. You could do like a ribbon and a holly branch in the corner or something, or you could do these along the bottom. These are a little bit too classy for the pattern papers that I chose though. Like these are more realistic. My pattern paper is more cutesy, cartoony, so I'm gonna stick with these. And then if you've got like any snowflakes or glitter embellishments or things like that, that would be kind of cute on here now too. I want her to be going home with the tree. I want this baby deer to be sleeping up here on the hill in the trees. I think I can do that. It's gonna tuck in just carefully right there. We'll have this deer standing over here in these trees. She's gonna be going home with presents. And I think we can fit one more Christmas tree in this yard right here. That's 5. Odd numbers are usually more visually appealing. If there had only been like 2 deer, I probably would have just stuck to 3 things, but, and then I was kind of contemplating the poinsettia up there, or like some of these little candies, but I don't know. I think we're kind of there. I might put a bow on this house because she's already decorating, and that's kind of like her little wreath. Okay, so there you have it. There's the layout. Obviously, extra embellishments, use what you've got in your stash, or if you want, these ones are the puffy stickers by Prima. I think they're last year's Christmas, but I'm not sure. It's item 998912, and at Candy Cane Lane. I will try to link it down in the description below, or make a supply list for you. But if not, that's what that is. And then everything else was kind of scrappy. I don't remember what these ones were. Photo Play maybe. And then these are Doodlebug, but I just mixed and matched. If you have any questions, let me know. And thanks for watching.
I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make a Christmas scrapbook page layout. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut crafts and festive fun. Don't forget, the link to get the cut files for this project is craftwithsarah.com/Christmas23, but they are only free to download for 24 hours after this video goes live. I hope to see you tomorrow for day 3 of the Christmas Craft Countdown. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!